Hi. This is the first show for Will Read for Feels, a brand new book blog. I'm Liana.
Hi, I'm Anne.
Hi, I'm Marian.
We're the three ladies behind Will Read for Feels. Just to give you a little background on our blog, we like to read we all read. We're all avid readers. We love to read, and we love books that give us the feels.
Yes.
So, if you go to our blog, you'll notice that we don't just review books according to our general reading experience. We also include feel factors. So, how much the book made us cry, how much it made us laugh out loud, even the things that really pissed us off.
Yeah.
We'll rate that too. All right. So, just to give you a sense of who we are, what we do, we wanted to introduce ourselves with a general topic of what we love to read. So, Anne?
Okay. Well, I like to read a lot of, generally, right now I read a lot of new adult books and young adult books and an occasional fantasy book read, George Martin, David Eddings, and for young adult, a couple of local books that are available here, and also for new adult, Tessa Bailey. I'm a big fan.
And by the way, when we say local, we're all from the Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah, Metro Manila represent. So
And Cebu.
yeah, and occasionally Cebu on my part.
Yeah.
So Marian.
For me, I don't usually read anything without any element of romance. So there has to be some romantic thing happening there, even if it's just in the background, but hopefully it's like in the forefront. So I usually read a lot of new adult, also contemporary adult romance, some YA. Not too big on fantasy though, so I'm gonna leave that more to Liana, who's more of our fantasy buff in the group. But yeah, you can expect a lot of like romantic reviews from me. Expect a lot of the mushy, swoony, steamy feels from my reviews. That's on my part. Now for Liana.
Well, as Marian said, I read a lot of fantasy. That's both high fantasy and urban fantasy. I'm a big fan of Mercedes Lackey and Tamara Pierce. I'm also into Patrick Rothfuss. And for the urban fantasy side, there's Patricia Briggs, that, werewolves, vampires, as long as there's magic involved, I'm pretty much into it. Although, we'll talk about my reading goals going into the less mystical reads later on. But as Marian said, we all kind of have different things that we look for in our novels. Although when Marian and I got to talking, we found out that one thing we do look for are HEAs, which are
Happily Ever Afters.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and we also love books with strong heroines.
Yes.
So we don't like girls who are just like pushed around, who just let the men like take over the novel. No, we don't like that. So if we get any novels that have those kinds of characters, you're gonna be hearing about our thoughts on them in our reviews. So.
Yeah, that might be where the rage factor comes in. So that's basically what we read about. And then some of what we wanted to talk about, since it's a brand new year, we launched our blog just January 12, and since it's the first month of the year, first show of a brand new blog, one of the things we wanted to talk about are our reading goals. So, you guys have...
Let me start. Well, right now I kind of put my reading goals in Goodreads I set it to around 100 books, and that's a huge leap from my last year's goal. That was around 50. So I doubled my goal this year, and now that we have a blog, I mean, I think I could hit those 100 books for 2015, and probably have also a couple of variety in the stuff that I read. I know I read a lot of romance, but I also want to do books that are a bit different, may not be romance, probably a bit of suspense, thriller. I'm looking forward to one writer actually who will come up with another one of her mystery and thriller novels this year, hopefully. So looking forward to that. But yes, 100 books for 2015. How about you, Marvin?
As for me, I don't have a specific number in mind. I usually read like one a day on average. So I don't know, probably around 200 books. You'll see. You're not gonna see all of the reviews. I'm only gonna be reviewing like the ones that I really liked or the ones that are I think would appeal to a lot of readers. But yeah, so I mentioned that I usually read a lot of like new adult and also contemporary adult romance. So now I want to make it a point to read more YA, and also since we're Filipinos, I also want to read more literature that are by Filipino authors. Because especially now, we're big on really pushing the Philippine literary scene. So hopefully, we'll also get you guys to read some of our Filipino author novels.
In English.
In English,
English,
yeah.
of course.
So don't worry about the language thing. But yeah, read more YA. And probably take a look at the fantasy things that
Yes, you should.
Liana and Anne recommend. So we'll see how things go as the year progresses. How about you, Liana?
Well, I guess I'm the most ambitious of us all because my reading goal for the year is officially 250. And I know that as a blog, we have a review goal of 150 for the year.
Yes.
And so well, like you, I'm not expecting to be able to review all the books I read. One reason for that is because I tend to read in phases. So like so far I did a count and I've read 18 books since the start of since January 1. And
it's January.
It's 18.
January.
Yeah, so I've
today,
read one
so one
book
a day.
a day
Yeah.
since the start of the year so far. And of those 15 books are Regency romance. So I will read in phases. So I'll go for like 15-20 books Regency romance, and then suddenly I'll go into a paranormal YA phase, and then you'll have another 15-20 books on that phase. Then I'll switch over into like a suspense phase. So I just tend to like go into a zone and stay there for about a month. So I think that's probably what you're going to see from me in terms of reviews.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna feel kind of schizophrenic with me, I think. But so
At least between the three of us, you'll get to see different genres.
Yeah.
So I think
Yes.
you'll find something that will suit your taste, hopefully.
And one of the things is we're really just going to go for it in terms of the feels. So do watch out for our feel factor ratings, which are 1 to 5. Stuff like, for example, with the tear factor, if we were kind of like, "Aww," then that's maybe a 1. But then if we were kind of like ugly crying over the book, then that's probably a 5. Okay, so anything else you're planning for the year? Are you looking forward to any authors coming out with books?
Well, I'm definitely looking in the local scene, local books, but it's in the vernacular. It's in Filipino. But I'm really looking forward to this young adult book. It's sort of like it's pegged as the Filipino Harry Potter. And it's very interesting. It's by Edgar Samar, Johnny Silang series. It's really good, and really, I'm a big fan of that series. And I know that's going to be coming out this year, hopefully, and that's going to be stretched out into like 9 books. So that's something really
9
to look for.
books.
Yes, so kind of like a Harry Potter thing, but it's a good engaging read. So looking forward to that.
For me, I don't know if there's an author in particular because now I follow a lot of different authors like Samantha Young, Penelope Douglas. I can't even name all of them.
Her first review.
My
by
first
the way.
review was by Penelope Douglas. And it's so funny because I was planning on reviewing some books that released last year, and then suddenly all of these new releases came up, and then I was reading them and I was like, okay, I have to review them right now while I'm still in the zone. So I keep pushing back my reviews for last year. Hopefully you'll see that soon. But I've seen a lot of new authors like Alison Bliss that I really like. She's really funny. So yeah, you'll see a lot of different authors, hopefully indie authors, and we'll put the spotlight on them too. How about you, Leanna?
Well, okay. Honestly, like I do have authors who are automatic buys.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
Patricia Briggs, as I mentioned. I'm also a huge fan of J.D. Robb, which is like into the 40-something already in her series.
What, 40 books in the series?
Or novellas.
Oh, okay. Novellas. I thought
Yeah,
it's novels.
so there's that. And then apart from that, honestly, I'm planning to stalk your reviews and get recommendations because one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to read more YA and NA because honestly, I don't. Not a lot. So I'm kind of really new to the genre. I think we were talking and I was like, why are these people in their head so much? And like you guys are like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah, it is normal.
And I guess like it's just getting into the sense of that kind of writing.
Yeah.
So what are your strategies to get into, for example, for you, Marian, like 200 books in a year? So what do you plan to do to reach that goal?
Well, for me, I don't really need to think about it because it's an automatic thing for me. Like, it's part of my daily habit to read. I think it's my way of unwinding. I don't watch TV unless it's like The Voice. But that's pretty much the only thing I watch on TV and sometimes the news. So it's really reading for me. But strategies, I think for me, it's not just the reading, but probably reading very critically because I usually read quickly. But when you read for a review, you have to really sort of not really dissect it, but you have to think about what's happening. And so I think I need to like read as a reviewer, not just as a reader, So I think that's one of my strategies for that. And also, I've been following a lot of different book blogs actually and seeing what they recommend because it's very interesting. You'll get to hear of authors you haven't heard of at all before. So, and then you'll pick up their books and you'll see that they're so awesome. It's like they've been published for years, and it's amazing to see how they grow also with each book that they put out. So I think for me, discovering more authors, also connecting with other book bloggers, because it's nice to share your passion. For us, it's also nice to get to talk about our different tastes, and we find that we like the same things also, and that's a lot of fun to do. How about you, Leanna?
Strategies. I think it's more of what I need to stop doing because I will go into a phase where I will just reread novels. There are novels that I've probably reread like 5 or 6 times, and I think part of that is because my problem is I read kind of fast, so I will take. My average reading time is between 2 and 3 hours, I think, for a novel. Sometimes 4, especially if it's a genre I don't read a lot of, or it's the beginning of when I'm getting into the zone for something. It'll take up to like 4 hours, but I don't think I've read a novel recently that's elapsed longer than 4 hours or so. So sometimes I wonder if I've missed something, so I tend to reread it. For example, when I reviewed Mercedes Lackey's Closer to Home, which is the start of a brand new series, actually I wrote the review after reading it 3 times. So I bought the book in December. I've read it 3 times since then. So I think I need to stop rereading so many times. Because usually, second pass I might get something that I missed. But third pass is really just fan servicing for myself. So I think to read more books this year, I need to stop rereading the books that I've already established that I love, and I already know exactly what's going to happen. I'm just reading it so that I can get the feels again from this quote or that quote, or I'll be like, oh, what was that phrase again that my favorite book boyfriend from this series said, and then I'll look for the quote, and then I'll end up reading the entire book. So that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I guess like strategies is to go out of my comfort zone and like read more of the stuff that I don't read a lot of.
Yeah.
Well, personally for me, since we started the book blog, that's a big strategy for me to reach 100 books in this year. So since I have a couple of books lined up for the blog, and I think that's gonna, push me to read faster, because I have this tendency to like think about the words and try to latch onto those words, and like what Liana does, I kind of reread things, especially when it hits me really good, like a good quote or a good way. I mean, the author phrased a certain scene. I sometimes reread a certain part, and but also probably some of your strategy as well, like being more distinct, or like critical about what I read, because sometimes I just read we all read for pleasure, but when you're reviewing something, you want to be more critical. You want to see if these plots or these characters actually speak to you a lot more, and I kind of developed that kind of eye when it comes to reading, and when I read other people's reviews, it gives me that perspective, what I need to look for in other books as well. So hopefully, since we have this book blog coming up, I mean, it's actually out right now, but for me to really pick up the pace in reading, because I tend to read slow.
Well, I think what will help also is because we're reviewing a lot of books that are like number 3, number 4 in a series. So we're naturally going to want to read the books that came before that, just so that we can talk intelligently about the entire series. Because when it's number 4, you want to say that like it's good that it came at this point in the series, especially if it's something instead of being companion novels, it's actually part of a progressive series that follows a timeline. We're probably gonna want to read the books that came before, right? So I think that's going to naturally help us read more.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But Liana and Anne both mentioned rereading books, so I just wanted to tell you guys that you might see some old books from time to time on our blog, and that's because we're going to be featuring some of our all-time favorites.
Yes.
These classics that up till now give us the feels that we still think about, we still remember, and we still want to read after how many years. So that's one of the things you can look forward to. If you have any suggestions, you can always let us know. So we'd love to check out what our viewers are also looking for in their books. And we might just discover our new favorite authors thanks to you guys.
Plus, nostalgia is,
Yes.
it's one of the best things that
feels.
gives you the feels,
Yeah.
Revisiting a book.
Yes.
Like, have you revisited anything recently? Because last
I
year
did.
last year I reread Anne of Green Gables. And I was just like, oh, Gilbert Blythe. And like, my first ever book boyfriend, I think.
Well,
I think he was my first.
I just recently put up a review, a throwback review of love stories, and in the lines of Sweet Dreams, if you're familiar with that, kids of the 90s and 80s, you know that. And it brought me a lot of feels from my high school, and really the kind of stuff that I read when I was in high school. It was a great experience to come back to those old novels and reading it with a lot more mature eyes and mindset, And for the next week, I'm reviewing like a Sweet Valley saga, Pac-Man's of Sweet Valley. Yes, I'm a big fan of Sweet Valley. Who doesn't, right? So look forward to that in the blog.
I actually wanted to talk about one of my favorite series, the first series that I collected on my own, The Babysitter's Club. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not part of our genre. It's middle grade.
Yes.
It's for like a younger group, but I think that's one of my favorites. I started rereading actually Madeline L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time last year, and then a new book came out, and then I was interrupted, so I have to get going back to that. But I heard that it was actually gonna be Was it gonna be made into a movie or a
I
series?
think it was already, but I think
it's gonna be
the
redone.
production was not so
Yeah.
good.
I don't
So-
know if I heard that it was
Yeah.
gonna be redone into another movie. We'll see. You'll have to check on that because there are, as you know, there are a lot of like young adult books and adult books actually that are being
Turned to movies.
Turned into movies. So see a lot of that this year, and you might just see some features on our blog too. Hint, hint.
So since we mentioned things to look forward to, I guess one of the things you can do is check out our blog. That's willreadforfeels.com, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
That's facebook.com/willreadforfeels, and Twitter is willread4feels, and also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube because we will be doing more of these shows as
Yes.
time passes. So we also just want to mention it's the last. We will be having a lot of giveaways on the blog, so you might want to subscribe to the blog on
Yes.
all formats too. And so
Also, don't forget to follow us
Yes.
on
Yes.
our individual social media accounts. We're on Twitter. We're also on Goodreads. So what's your Twitter?
my Goodreads is my Twitter, and I think my Goodreads is Leah S Bautista. That's LIAS Bautista,
And mine is at Ann Plaza for both Twitter and Facebook.
And mine is at marbart06. So that's both for Twitter and Facebook. Twitter and Goodreads also. And don't worry if you didn't catch that. We'll be posting that.
in the notes.
Yeah, in the notes below. So do follow us and don't be shy to reach out and tell us what you think, tell us what you recommend, what you want to see on our blog. We'd love to hear from you guys.
We love to get recommendations for books because, as you've heard, we have hundreds of books to read. This
Yes,
year.
between the three of us, there will be a lot of books read.
So please do send your recommendations and please do comment and like us on our social media sites.
All right, and don't forget to share your feels.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.